The room smelled of oil and burnt metal. Sparks flew from broken wires in the corner, and dull lights flickered above. Leo wiped the sweat from his forehead as he knelt beside a tall, silver set of alien armor. He dipped a cloth into a cleaning gel, then carefully rubbed the dark stains across the shoulder plates. This wasn't just any armor. It belonged to Commander Noreen, one of the highest-ranking warriors from the Voral Dominion. She wasn't human. Her people were tall, with gray skin, narrow eyes, and markings on their faces that shimmered like ink in water. Noreen had led thousands into battle during the last war. Now she walked the same halls as humans, all in the name of peace. Leo was just a technician, a cleaner. His job was simple: repair, polish, and maintain the armor of alien officers stationed on the peace ship Unity Star. Most officers ignored him. A few nodded politely. Noreen, however, was different. She didn't talk much, but she always watched him. Today was no different. She stood in the doorway, silent as always, her long cloak brushing the floor. Her armor, removed piece by piece, lay across the table. Deep black scorch marks covered the chest plate, marks Leo had never seen before. They weren't from training simulations. These looked real, from weapons fire. Leo stared at the burn mark, puzzled. He glanced up and met Noreen's gaze. Her eyes didn't blink. Her face showed no emotion. Still, something about her presence made the room feel colder. He cleared his throat. This damage, it doesn't look like it came from a drill. Was there a... I don't need you to understand it, Noreen interrupted, her voice calm but strong. Just clean it. Leo looked down quickly. Yes, Commander. Silence fell again. The only sound was the gentle scrape of cloth against metal. He cleaned carefully, wondering what kind of battle she had been in. The war was over. At least, that's what everyone said. Then, after a long pause, she spoke again. Leo. He froze. She had never called him by name before. Yes, he asked, trying to sound calm. Do you trust me? He blinked. The cloth slipped from his hand and landed on the floor. I what? She stepped forward slowly, her boots echoing in the quiet room. I asked you a question, she said softly. Do you trust me? Leo didn't know what to say. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't trained for anything dangerous. He cleaned armor. That's all. Why would she ask something like that? I guess so, he stammered. I mean, you've never given me a reason not to. Noreen tilted her head slightly, as if studying his answer. Then she nodded once and turned to leave. Good, she said before walking out the door. Leo sat there, stunned, the damp cloth still on the floor beside him. Later that night, Leo couldn't stop thinking about it. Her words repeated in his mind. Do you trust me? It wasn't a normal question. Not for someone like her to ask someone like him. Something about the way she said it. It felt serious, like a test. He walked through the dim hallway of the Unity Star, hands in his pockets. The ship was quiet at night. Most officers slept or ran reports. He liked these hours: less pressure, less attention. Just soft footsteps and humming walls. But then he heard something strange, a whisper. He stopped, walking. The sound came from the lower deck, a level rarely used. Curious, he followed it down the steps. The air grew colder. The lights were dimmer here. He walked slowly, carefully, until he reached the corner of a hallway. That's when he saw them. Noreen was standing in the shadows, speaking to someone. The other figure wore a long dark cloak. Their face was hidden. They spoke in a strange language, quick, sharp. Not from Earth or the Dominion. Leo stayed quiet, hiding behind a pillar. Noreen handed something to the cloaked figure. A small chip. The figure nodded and turned to leave. But just as the figure disappeared into the darkness, Noreen turned her head. She saw him. Leo's heart nearly stopped. She didn't shout. She didn't chase. She simply walked toward him, calm and steady. Leo stepped out from behind the pillar. I didn't mean to. You followed me, she said quietly. I heard voices. She stared at him for a long moment, then reached into her pocket and pulled out a small item, a broken metal piece. She held it out. This used to belong to someone who trusted the wrong person. Leo didn't take it. "I don't understand," he said. "You will," she replied. Soon, she stepped past him, but before going, she turned and said the same words again. "Do you trust me?" Leo, this time, he didn't answer right away, but something in her voice made him nod slowly. "Yes." She nodded in return, then vanished. Into the hallway, Leo stood there, his mind full of questions. He didn't know what was happening, but he knew one thing: his quiet job had just changed. Leo could not sleep that night. He lay on his small bunk, staring at the ceiling of his quiet cabin. The words, "Do you trust me?" echoed in his mind again and again. Why did Commander Noreen ask him that? And what was that secret meeting about? He sat up, rubbing his face. Part of him wanted to forget everything and go back to his normal job cleaning armor, fixing suits, and staying out of the way. But something had changed. He had seen something important. He could not pretend anymore. By morning, Leo felt tired and restless. His hands moved slowly as he cleaned the next set of gear in the maintenance room. His thoughts kept drifting back to the cloaked figure and the strange chip Noreen had passed over. Who was that person? What was on the chip, and why involve someone like him? Before he could think further, the room's scanner beeped. He turned and saw her Commander Noreen standing silently at the door again, her sharp gray eyes fixed on him. "You didn't report what you saw last night," she said. Walking in slowly, Leo put down the cleaning tool and faced her. "I didn't know what to report," he said honestly. "I didn't even know what I saw." "That's good," she replied. "Good, yes. It means I can still trust you." Leo looked confused. "Commander, I'm just a technician. Why would someone like you trust someone like me?" She studied him for a moment, then gave a quiet answer. "Because you're not part of the chain." "The chain?" "The command chain. Politics, control, orders that hide secrets behind uniforms." Her voice lowered. "And because you saw something that most would pretend they didn't." Leo swallowed. "What exactly did I see?" Noreen walked over to the door and locked it with her access card. She then looked around the room and lowered her voice. "There's a group inside the Dominion. They do not want peace with Earth. They are planning something dangerous." Leo took a step back. "But the war is over. There's a treaty." Noreen shook her head. "Treaties are made with words. War is made with silence. This group works in the dark. They hide behind official uniforms, speak noble words, and plan betrayal behind locked doors." Leo's heart beat faster. "What are they planning?" "I don't know all of it," she said. "But they are watching humans closely. They think humans are growing too fast, too strong. They want to strike before Earth becomes a real threat." He stared at her. "And you want to stop them?" She nodded. "Yes, but I can't do it alone." Leo looked down at his hands. "But what can I do?" "I clean armor." She stepped closer. "Exactly. You're invisible. You go places officers don't notice. You hear things. You see things. I need someone like that. Someone no one expects." Leo hesitated. His chest felt tight. He had never been part of anything like this. It felt risky, dangerous, but it also felt right. "If I help you," he said slowly, "what happens to me if we fail?" "You disappear," she said simply. "Or worse." Leo let out a nervous breath. "That's not very comforting." Noreen gave the smallest smile. "Truth often isn't." He looked into her eyes. "And if we succeed," she paused, "then we stop a war before it begins." Leo nodded slowly. "All right, I'm in." Noreen's expression didn't change, but her voice was softer. "Thank you." That evening, Noreen told him to meet her in a rarely used part of the ship, the engineering sublevel, where the old power systems and ducts were still connected. Not many people went there. Leo followed the path carefully. The lights flickered, and the metal floor echoed with every step. He carried a small toolkit to look like he was on a repair job, just in case someone questioned him. When he reached the marked hallway, he found Noreen waiting. She wore a simple dark jacket, not her usual armor. Her hair was tied back, and her face looked sharper in the cold light. She handed him a small tablet. "These are hidden communication logs between Dominion officers. I need you to plug this into the backup network port in Sector 12. No one monitors that system. Leo took the tablet. What am I looking for? Pattern codes. Message trails. I believe they're using old encryption to hide their messages. The kind that human systems can still detect. He blinked. You want me to spy on them using outdated Earth software? Exactly, she said. Leo smiled slightly. That's the weirdest plan I've ever heard. But it might work, she replied. He looked at the tablet again. His fingers were shaking. Just a little. But he nodded. I'll do it, as he turned to go. Noreen stopped him with a quiet voice. Leo, he turned. If anything happens, if they find out, don't come looking for me. Pretend you knew nothing. He frowned. But I made a promise. She looked at him for a long time, her face unreadable. Then she stepped forward, leaned close, and said softly, then promise. Me one more thing, don't trust anyone unless they've earned it. Leo nodded again. Except you? A pause. Especially me. As he made his way back through the lower halls, the weight of the tablet in his pocket felt heavier than metal. His job had always been simple before: clean, fix, repeat. But now, he was part of something bigger, something hidden in the shadows. And as the ship lights flickered above him, Leo knew that whatever came next, he could not turn back. He had given his word. Leo stood at the edge of the engineering bay, staring at the closed door to Commander Noreen's quarters. His fingers itched with nervous energy. She had sent him a short message earlier that day. Come to me. No one must know. His heart was still pounding from the memory of last night when she asked him if he trusted her. And he had said yes. He didn't know why he had said it. It just felt right. Now, standing in front of her door, he questioned everything. He was just a human technician, someone who repaired suits and swept broken circuits off the floor. He didn't belong in secret meetings or hidden missions. The door opened with a soft hiss. Noreen stood inside, dressed in simple black armor without her usual shoulder symbols. Her face, usually firm and unreadable, seemed more tired than usual. Come in, she said. Leo stepped inside. The room was dim, the lights low. The walls were lined with strange weapons, maps of Dominion sectors, and screens showing data feeds in multiple alien languages. It felt more like a war room than a living space. Sit, she said, motioning to a small seat near her console. He sat down, eyes moving from the glowing screen to a small crystal resting on a metal plate nearby. It pulsed faintly. I want to show you something, Noreen said. She touched the console, and a hologram appeared above them. It showed a map of the ship. Tiny red markers glowed across the screen. What are those? Leo asked. Unauthorized signals, she replied. They move through old Dominion channels, ones we stopped using after the peace treaty. Someone's reactivating them. Leo leaned forward. But why? Because they're hiding something, she said. She brought up another screen. It showed a list of ship logs and message trails. These are encrypted messages between Dominion officers. I can't crack them alone. But your people humans still use some of the older code systems. You might be able to help. Leo looked surprised. I'm not a code breaker. No, Noreen said calmly. But you're curious. You notice things. You've already seen more than most. Leo looked down at his hands. What if I mess it up? Then we both disappear, she said simply. Leo gave a weak laugh. Comforting. She leaned in, her voice softer now. I didn't bring you here to scare you. I brought you here because I can't trust anyone else. The officers under me answer to someone higher. I'm being watched, but you're not part of their system. You're quiet. You blend in. You walk past them every day, and they never look twice. Leo nodded slowly. So you want me to spy? No, she said. I want you to see. I want you to understand. Then decide what to do. He met her eyes. And what happens if I say no? She paused, then said honestly. Then I'll erase the logs, and we'll never speak of this again. Leo thought about it. He thought about the quiet nights spent cleaning armor, about how the war had ended, but the fear in the air never truly faded. He thought about how Noreen, a warrior from a once-enemy species, had looked straight at him and asked a question no one ever had. Do you trust me? I'll help. He said finally, Noreen nodded once. Then I'll show you more. That night, Leo followed Noreen through hidden passages inside the ship. The Unity Star was massive, with secret tunnels built into its bones. Only high-ranking officers or shipbuilders ever saw these paths. They walked in silence, the lights above flickering, as old wires buzzed overhead. At last, they reached a control panel hidden behind a loose wall panel. Noreen knelt and opened the system. This connects to the ship's lower message archive. I've seen signs of data leaks here. Someone is using this node to transfer messages. Leo crouched beside her. And you want me to plug in something? She handed him a small chip. This will copy the flow. Don't stop it. Just watch. If we interfere too early, they'll notice. Leo nodded, took the chip, and inserted it carefully into the console. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the chip's light blinked. Data stream captured. He whispered. Good, Noreen said. Now we wait, as they sat together in the narrow tunnel. Noreen pulled a small item from her pocket, a round token with strange markings. This belonged to my brother, she said quietly. He served with honor. When he began asking questions about secret orders, he vanished. Leo looked at the token. You think the same people are behind it? She nodded. They silence anyone who asks too many questions. That's why I've stayed quiet for so long. But not anymore, Leo said. No, she agreed. Not anymore. They stayed there for hours, watching the chip gather data. From time to time, they heard footsteps above or distant engines humming. But in the shadows, they were invisible. When the chip finally blinked green, Noreen pulled it out and tucked it in her jacket. This is the first step, she said. The next one will be harder. Leo sighed. Of course it will. Noreen smiled slightly. You're braver than you think. I'm just a guy who scrubs armor, he said with a shrug. Not anymore, she said. Now, you're someone who sees. They began their walk back through the tunnels, one quiet step at a time. Leo didn't know what the future held, but one thing was clear: he had stepped into a hidden world, and there was no turning back. The soft hum of machines filled the quiet room as Leo sat near a dusty network port. Deep inside Sector 12, the walls were old and forgotten, with faded warning signs and wires running like vines. Few people came down here anymore. That made it the perfect place for someone like him. Leo's hands moved carefully. He plugged the small tablet into the backup console and took a deep breath. The screen lit up. Lines of alien code began to scroll across the display. He didn't understand the language, but the tablet's program started searching for patterns. He wiped sweat from his forehead. Come on, he whispered. Just find something. The screen blinked. Match found. Leo leaned closer. The tablet began showing logs, messages between Dominion officers. Most were routine, but one caught his eye. It had strange wording. No names, only numbers and a meeting time. Another message followed it. Stage will be ready. Target, Earth Ambassador. His stomach tightened. He tapped a button to save the logs. But suddenly the screen went dark. What? The backup console shut down. Leo's heart pounded. He quickly unplugged the tablet and tucked it in his jacket. Then he heard something behind him. Footsteps. He turned his head slowly. A shadow moved in the hallway. Someone was coming. Leo grabbed his toolkit and stood up, trying to look casual. A Dominion officer stepped into view. His armor was polished, his eyes sharp. What are you doing here, human? Leo forced a nervous smile. Routine check on old wiring. Got a report about a voltage drop. Probably nothing. The officer stared at him, then looked at the console. No report was filed for this sector. Leo's mouth went dry. Maybe it was delayed in the system. The officer stepped closer. Before anything else could happen, a voice echoed from the hallway. Technician Leo, there you are. It was Commander Noreen. She walked in calmly, her hands behind her back. Leo felt a wave of relief. She looked at the officer. I asked him to check the old systems. We've had strange signals coming from this area. The officer raised an eyebrow. With respect, Commander, this should have gone through proper notice. I'll file it myself, Noreen said firmly. Is that a problem? The officer hesitated. then shook his head. Of course not. He gave Leo one last glance, then walked away. Leo waited until he was gone, then turned to Noreen. That was too close. She nodded. They're watching all systems now. We need to move fast. They walked together down the hallway, careful not to draw attention. Leo handed her the tablet. There's a message. Someone's planning an attack on the Earth ambassador. Noreen stopped. Her jaw tightened. Then it's worse than I thought. You believe it now? I believe it before, she said. Now I have proof. They returned to Noreen's private chamber, where the walls were lined with old weapons and star maps. She locked the door and plugged the tablet into her secure terminal. The message appeared again on the screen. She read it slowly. This number code belongs to General Tavas. He's one of the strongest voices in the Dominion, if he's behind. This, Leo interrupted. That means the attack is official? No, it means it's hidden under official orders. He's using peace as a mask. Leo stepped back. So what do we do now? Noreen looked at the screen, her eyes cold. We expose him. She turned to Leo. I'll need your help one more time. He sighed. Of course you do. There's a central signal tower on this ship, she said. It connects both Dominion and Earth networks. If we can hijack it and send the evidence directly to all officers, both human and alien, it can't be hidden anymore. Leo's eyes widened. That place is guarded. I know, she replied. That's why we go at night. And we go quiet. Leo nodded, even though his legs felt weak. Noreen stepped closer. This will be dangerous. I won't lie. Leo gave a shaky smile. I already said I trust you. She looked at him for a moment, then placed a hand gently on his shoulder. Then I'll get us both through it. That night, the halls of the Unity Star were quiet. Leo wore a gray worker's jacket, tools clipped to his belt. Noreen walked beside him in her dark uniform, hood pulled low. They moved through the maintenance tunnels, stepping over old pipes and dusty panels. Every sound echoed, every shadow felt alive. Finally, they reached the edge of the signal control center. Two guards stood outside, weapons at their sides. Noreen motioned for Leo to wait. Then she walked toward the guards with firm steps. Commander, one said, surprised. You're not scheduled. She struck without warning. With swift, silent moves, she disabled both guards, pressing a stun tool to their necks. They dropped to the floor, unconscious. Leo ran to her side. Remind me never to make you angry. Noted, she said, then opened the door. Inside. The room was full of control panels and glowing monitors. Leo moved fast, plugging in the tablet. The system protested, red lights blinking, but Noreen typed in override codes. The data loaded. Leo pressed the final button. Transmit to all command channels. The screen blinked. Message sent. Moments later, alarms rang across the ship. Noreen spun toward the door. They know. Leo's hands trembled. What now? We run. Before they could move, the door burst open. Dominion soldiers stormed in. Weapons raised. NAREM pushed Leo behind a console. Stay down. She fought with speed and strength, moving like a shadow. But there were too many. Leo saw her get struck. Her side burned by an energy blast. He grabbed a cleaning drone from his bag, his last tool. With one press, it flew into the air and exploded, a flash of light, blinding the guards for a moment. Noreen grabbed his hand. Go. They fled into the hallway, sirens screaming behind them. As they ran through the dark, Leo knew this wasn't over. But one thing was clear now. They had started something no one could ignore. The stars outside the Unity Star looked calm, like they had no idea what was happening inside the ship. But inside, the air was heavy. Every corner felt like a trap. Every step echoed too loudly. Leo walked beside Commander Noreen through a quiet hallway toward the airlock bay, a hidden route they often used to avoid cameras and patrols. He kept glancing over his shoulder, heart pounding. NAREN noticed. You're too nervous. I think it's normal to be nervous when we're about to break into the signal tower, Leo replied. She gave a small nod. Fair. Leo held a small case in his hand. Inside was the chip they had filled with stolen logs, evidence of the secret group planning the attack on the Earth ambassador. Their plan was simple. Get into the main tower, plug it in, and send the truth to everyone. Dominion officers, Earth Command, even the Peace Council. No one could ignore the proof if they all saw it at the same time. But simple didn't mean safe. As they turned into the final corridor, Noreen suddenly raised her hand. "Stop," she whispered. Leo froze. She moved forward slowly, eyes sharp. Then she looked back and spoke quietly. "They're here." "Who?" Leo asked. She reached for her weapon. "The ones who don't want the truth out." Before Leo could react, figures in Dominion armor stepped out of the shadows. 6 soldiers. Weapons raised. "Commander Noreen," one of them said. "You're under arrest for legal access to Dominion data systems." "And the human?" another asked. "Bring him to," said the first. Noreen took a slow step forward, calm as ever. "I'd think carefully before trying." One soldier barked. "You don't give orders now." Noreen's eyes narrowed. "No, but I still fight." Then it happened fast and loud. Noreen lunged at the nearest guard, striking his weapon down. And spinning behind him, Leo dropped to the floor, clutching the data case tightly. Blasts of red energy shot across the hall. Sparks flew from walls. Leo crawled behind a cargo crate, heart racing. He peeked out and saw Noreen moving like lightning, dodging, striking, flipping one of the guards to the ground. But more were coming. She couldn't hold them all. Leo looked at the drone he always carried in his tool belt, a small round thing, meant for cleaning high places. His hand shook as he activated it. He tapped a code on his pad and whispered, "Flash mode." The drone zipped into the air and released a blinding white light. The guards screamed, covering their eyes. Noreen didn't waste the chance. She grabbed Leo's arm. "Run." They dashed down a side passage. Leo could hardly breathe, but he kept moving. Behind them, alarms were now blaring. The ship knew something was wrong. They reached a side door and slipped into a forgotten storage module full of old equipment and dusty crates. Noreen sealed the door behind them. "We don't have long," she said. Leo dropped to the floor, gasping for air. "I think I lost my heart back there." "You still have it," she said, kneeling beside him. "You showed it when it mattered." He looked at her and saw that she was hurt. Her side had been scorched by a blast. A dark burn ran along her ribs. "You're hit," he said. "I've had worse," she replied. But her voice was tight. Leo grabbed the small first aid kit from his tool belt and started treating the wound. His hands shook as he worked. "You're doing fine," Noreen said quietly. "I fix machines," Leo replied. "Not people." She gave a weak smile. "We're not that different." He wrapped the bandage tightly. "You should rest." "I can't," she said. "If we don't send this data, the ambassador will walk into a trap. Earth won't be ready." Leo looked at the small case still in his hands. "Then we try again." She sat back against the crate, her breath slowing. "They'll tighten security now. We'll need another plan." Leo looked around the dark storage room. Old gear, wires, panels. Then an idea came. "What if we use this place?" he asked. She looked at him. "What do you mean?" "The storage lines here still connect to the ship's supply grid. That GRID links to the tower for emergency checks. It's slower, but it's a path." Noreen's eyes lit up. "A back door. I can send the message from here," he said. "If you cover me." She tried to stand, winced, then nodded. "Do it," Leo set to work. His fingers moved fast, connecting old wires, tapping into the feed. He inserted the chip. A slow loading bar appeared. Meanwhile, Noreen aimed her weapon at the door. Her breathing was heavy, but her hands were steady. Leo watched the screen. 60%, 70, footsteps sounded outside. Noreen steadied her aim. "Keep going." 85, the door shook. Someone was trying to get in. 95, a loud bang. The metal began to crack. 99 then. Transmission sent. Leo pulled the chip out and smiled. "It's done." The door burst open just as he turned. Noreen fired once, twice, hitting the first guard in the chest. The others hesitated, confused by the sudden action, but they didn't fight for long. A voice echoed through the ship's system. "All officers, emergency broadcast from Sector 6. Unauthorized data transmission confirmed. Orders from General Tava's linked to attack plan." Stand by for full review. The soldiers froze. The truth was out. Leo and Noreen were taken into custody, but not as criminals. Dominion officials received the data. Earth officers confirmed it, and a council was quickly called. The traitors were exposed. The war never restarted, and the technician who cleaned armor became something else entirely. The air on Unity Star felt different now. It had only been 1 day since the data transmission. 1 day since the secret about the planned attack was shared with every major Dominion officer, Earth commander, and Peace Council member. But everything had changed. The halls that once echoed with cold silence were now filled with voices. Groups of soldiers gathered in tight conversations. Officers moved quickly, holding urgent meetings. There was tension. Yes, but also something else. A shift, a crack in the armor of lies. Leo sat alone in a holding room, staring at the white metal wall. His hands were resting on his lap, fingers twitching slightly. He wasn't sure if he was being held for protection or punishment. The door hissed open. Noreen stepped in. She wasn't wearing armor today, just a plain gray Dominion uniform. Her side was bandaged, and her steps were a little slower, but she still carried herself like a warrior. Leo stood up. They let you walk around? She gave a short nod. I told them I'd leave if they didn't. Then she added with a slight smirk, they believe me. Leo let out a breath, unsure whether to laugh or worry. Any news? He asked. A lot, she replied, walking to the small bench across from him. The council is shaken. Some of the officers were removed from command last night. Earth ambassadors are asking for answers, and a neutral inspection team is on its way. Leo blinked. That's fast. Truth moves faster than lies. When it finally gets loose, she said softly. They sat in silence for a moment. The humming of the ship's engines filled the space. Then Leo asked, what happens to us? She looked at him. I don't know yet, but we may not be the ones in danger anymore. Leo tilted his head. You think someone else will come after us? Noreen nodded slowly. Those who built the plan. They had power. People like that don't give up easily. Leo rubbed his face. So we're not finished? No, she said. But we're not alone anymore either. Just then, the door opened again. A tall Earth officer entered, wearing the blue and silver uniform of the United Planetary Defense. His face was hard to read, stern, but not unkind. I'm Commander Halden, he said. I'm leading Earth's side of the joint investigation. Noreen stood up immediately. Leo followed. Commander Halden looked at both of them. You two caused quite a wave. Wasn't our goal, Leo said. We just didn't want a war. Halden gave a short nod. That may be exactly what you stopped. He paused, then continued. You're both under temporary protection for now. We're moving you off Unity Star. Where? Noreen asked. There's a neutral base station on Viewership 3. Quiet, secure. You'll stay there while the council makes its decision. And then, Leo asked. Halden's gaze didn't waver. Then we'll see whether you're honored or forgotten. That hit harder than Leo expected. After Halden left, Noreen and Leo were taken to the ship's hangar, where a small transport waited. As they boarded, Leo looked back at Unity Star. It felt strange leaving it behind. Just days ago, he was a nobody here, a quiet cleaner with a boring life. Now he was leaving like someone important, or maybe just dangerous, inside the transport. Noreen sat near the window. Leo sat beside her. You ever been to Viewership 3? He asked. No, she replied. But I hear the food is terrible. Leo laughed softly. Great. First a conspiracy, now bad soup. She smiled faintly. They flew in silence for a while. Stars passed by outside like gentle waves. Then Noreen turned to him. You asked what happens to us. Leo nodded slowly. Yeah. She looked at him carefully. I don't know about the future, but I do know this: you didn't just help me. You stood with me. You made a choice when you didn't have to. I couldn't walk away, Leo said. Not from you. Not from what was right. Noreen held his gaze. When I first asked if you trusted me, I didn't expect your answer to change everything. Leo looked down, a small smile forming. It changed me, too. The transport ship continued on through the stars. Hours later, they landed on Viewership 3, a calm planet with silver blue skies and quiet winds. The base was built into a rocky hill, simple and well guarded. Leo and Noreen were given separate rooms, but not far apart. The walls were plain, the beds firm, and the air smelled faintly of metal. It wasn't home, but it was safe. At night, Leo stood near the window of his small room. He looked out at the stars above and thought about Earth, Unity's star, and the moment she asked him, "Do you trust me?" He never imagined that such a simple question could start something so big. A knock on the door pulled him back. He opened it and found Noreen there, dressed in a long gray coat. She didn't say anything at first. She just stepped forward, eyes steady. "I don't know how this ends," she said quietly, "but I do know I want you beside me when it does." Leo looked at her, heart beating fast. "I'm not going anywhere," he said. The sun on Virax 3 rose gently over the quiet base. Its light was soft, casting a calm silver glow across the rocky hills. The air was still, peaceful, but inside the base there was movement, quiet, steady, purposeful. Leo stood near the edge of the observation platform. He watched the sky, wondering what today would bring. The peace outside didn't match the weight inside his chest. Today, the final council decision would arrive. He glanced at the data pad in his hand. It showed a message: meeting in command hall, 800 hours. Decision announcement. He turned. His footsteps approached. Noreen walked toward him, dressed in her full Dominion armor again. It was clean now, shining in the morning light. Leo gave a small smile. "Back to wearing the armor. It's part of who I am," she said calmly. "But I'm not just a soldier anymore." They walked together through the base halls, side by side. Around them, soldiers from different planets nodded in silent respect. Some had seen the transmission, others had only heard stories. But all of them knew these two had shaken the stars. Inside the command hall, representatives from both Earth and Dominion sat on high chairs around a circular table. The air was tense but quiet. A large screen behind the table flickered to life. An elder voice spoke clear, firm, and without emotion. "This hearing is now in session. We are here to announce the joint decision regarding officers Noreen Velos and civilian Leo Morin for their actions involving classified Dominion plans, violation of protocol, and unauthorized release of military data." Leo stood still. His palms were damp. Noreen stood tall beside him, expression unreadable. The voice continued. "After reviewing all transmissions, testimonies, and witness accounts, the Council of Peace and the Dominion Senate have agreed on the following decision." A long pause. "Leo Morin is cleared of all charges. He is recognized as a whistleblower who acted in defense of peace. His actions helped prevent large-scale conflict. He is to be released from protective custody immediately and granted free status." Leo blinked. Stunned. Noreen placed a hand on his shoulder. The voice didn't stop. "Noreen Velos, officer of the Dominion Frontline Division, is cleared of treason charges. She is credited for exposing an unlawful military faction and is hereby promoted to the rank of Star Captain." Gasps spread in the room. Leo looked at her. "Star Captain?" Noreen nodded once, eyes sharp. But Leo could see something else behind her calm face: relief. The voice added, "Both individuals may remain on Virax 3 temporarily or return to their respective homes. They are under no restriction. Case closed." The screen went black. Silence hung in the room. Then quiet clapping began, first from one corner, then from the other. It wasn't loud, but it was respectful. Leo looked around, trying to process everything. "So, it's over." Noreen turned to him. "The council part, yes. The real journey? That's still ahead." They left the hall, walking back into the soft light of the Virax morning. For the first time in days, Leo felt like he could breathe freely. They sat together under a steel archway near the garden dome. Plants from different worlds grew their earth trees, Dominion vines, and peaceful blue flowers from neutral worlds. Leo looked at her. "What are you going to do now?" "Go back to Dominion space." Noreen thought for a long moment. "I'm being offered a ship, my own command." But Leo watched her quietly. "But I don't know if I want to go back to what I was," she continued. "I've seen too much now. Things I can't ignore." Leo nodded. "So, what then?" She smiled softly. I was thinking of building something new. A peace-unit mixed crew. Different worlds. Not just fighters, but thinkers, protectors, teachers. Leo raised an eyebrow. That's ambitious. It's necessary, she said. And I want you with me. Leo blinked. Me? You saw through lies when others stayed quiet. You trusted me when I didn't trust myself. I need someone like you, someone honest. He looked away, thinking, I'm not a soldier. You don't have to be. Just be you. Leo was quiet for a long time. Then he looked at her, eyes steady. All right, I'll go with you. Noreen smiled, one of the rare, real ones that made her look lighter. Later that week, their ship launched from Viewership 3. It wasn't big. It didn't need to be. It had room for a small team, a quiet engine, and a wide window at the front. Leo stood in that window as stars stretched ahead. Noreen stood beside him, arms crossed, eyes on the dark. What should we call it? He asked. The ship, yeah. Noreen thought for a second. How about Trust? Leo smiled. Fitting. The ship Trust moved forward, away from battles and betrayals, toward a different kind of future, one built not on command, but on belief, on choices, on trust.